episode 17, chapter 3 of the Daily Growth Discipleship Podcast. I'm Chris Lamberth.
And I'm Josh Havens. We're on a journey to learn what it means to live a lifestyle of discipleship. We're glad you're joining us and hope that as you set aside this time for God, that He will help you grow today in the everyday moments of life.
Today, we're continuing our conversation with Russell Verhey. Russell Verhey is on a mission to build leaders who have committed their lives for redemptive purposes. As a coach and author, his passion is to move leaders from inspiration to impact in their area of influence. He graduated with a Bachelor's of Arts in Entrepreneurship from Kennesaw State University and has a master's degree in leadership development from Denver Seminary. He's run his own business, been part of R12 and Vistage Business Roundtables, and invested in the lives of CEOs through his work as a coach and chair of Convene in Colorado Springs. He now runs The Advance, an organization he founded a few years ago to meet the expanding leadership development needs and team challenges of his leadership clients. The most important thing to him is faith and family. He says God is the source of everything good in his life. He and his wife, Carrie, have been married for 23 years, and they have 4 children.
It's challenging sometimes to start a conversation with someone as a conversationalist. If you're like me, you probably get caught up thinking about what you're going to say next while the other person bears their soul out to you. It's also tempting to think you have to turn every conversation into something life-changing. In this chapter, Russell breaks down his 5 levels of significant conversations. Each level, from the casual all the way to the catalytic, can be life-changing if you know how to make the most of it.
It's very intimidating to try to approach somebody and to think, okay, in this conversation, I've got to change their life. What is the question that I'm going to ask that's going to change their life right now? And you sort of break it down in the book and you're like, no, you don't have to go there right away. And because you have 5 levels of significant conversation. And so could you walk us through real quick what the 5 levels are and sort of how they help us slowly progress? And I'll lay them out for you in case you don't have them right in front of you, but they're casual, contextual, conceptual, considerable, and catalytic. And of course, we all want to get to the catalytic. Those are those life-changing moments when those things are happening. But you even say, it's not bad or wrong to have casual conversations. They're a natural part of the process. And so help us understand those and walk through them with us real quickly, if you would.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to look at that, and really more than the levels of conversation, it's really more about having a healthy discernment of where am I at in this relationship? What's going on? Let me just have an honest evaluation of the connection that I feel with this person, and are we even at a place where we can go to another level? I perhaps desire that, but that may not be realistic. And this is just even in what you're describing is something I want to speak to, because this perhaps is the greatest pain point in relationships. And this pain point, this may be the pay dirt for whoever is listening to this. But where we step out and like, okay, I'm going to try again. I'm going to respond to this podcast, and I'm going to go meet with this person. And then all of a sudden we get together, and then there's just this, man, we just didn't connect. There's this disconnect. And part of that is having a healthy discernment of where are we in this relationship. And my desire is to go to another level, because, I desire that in friendship and trust, but perhaps they're just not in a place where they're ready to go there. So in terms of even just casual and being able to look at that and, identifying this is where we're at today. And if that's just for this month or, this season, it's really okay. And I'm okay with that. When you move to the next level of context, the context is where we have the opportunity to perhaps enter into their world, because without context, you can ask all the questions in the world and you have no idea the bearing of where that, like, wow, okay, my dog just died. Whoa, I had no idea. And all of a sudden the conversation changes because, well, tell me about that. Well, he was 14 years old and we've had him in his family. I mean, it's like immediately we move into context. And so context questions are so significant around what's happening in their world. I just got a promotion. I just got passed over for a promotion. Whoa. I had to cancel that vacation. And so when you hit context questions, it allows you to enter into the reality of whatever they're facing. And so the context, once you have that, then it allows you to just enter in and just hold that space with those people. The conceptual, that's our third level. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. The conceptual is perhaps where I enjoy moving the questions and the dialogue. Okay, I recognize you're in some level of pain, or there's some weight to what we're talking about here. But perhaps, what would it look like if you survived this and you got through to next summer? Talk to me about that. What would that even look like? Now all of a sudden we just opened up the canvas and we started this conceptual of what could be. Oh, I could get a puppy. Whoa. And all of a sudden you see what,
yeah.
I don't mean to be trivial about it. It's just,
no, yeah.
I got a 14-year-old golden retriever, so we just, got a lot of puppy love. So in that way of, my kids are graduating, from high school and they're leaving for college, and I don't know what that's going to look like. And and so you start moving into what could it look like? What could the relationship look like? And so that's where, the conceptual moves to.
Is this also the part where you would be sharing your hopes and fears and anxieties and things like that as well?
Yeah, you really do move to that place. And that's where, as I was able to craft, and that was really part of the joy of whenever anyone takes time to say, I'm going to take this concept and start writing about it. That was a very helpful discovery for me that I did not have really until I started writing about it and really working on these concepts. Because, like, what is happening here when you move to this place of talking about your dreams? And I captured this idea a number of years ago that the most intimate form of communication you can have is when you're at a place talking about your fears and your dreams. And you're in a sacred place in a relationship. And to be able to just make sure you honor that space of like, wow, this is really significant. Certainly that you shared this with me, but even the fact that you've spoken this out, this is really important, and we want to make sure that we honor this. And so the interesting irony in that conversation, and we're taking a lot of depth here on this, is when we move to this conceptual idea of what could be, it's amazing how even in conversations we can get tripped up really quickly. I mean, in a whisper, we can move from dreams, and in a whisper, we immediately jump to our fears. Another way of looking at it, and I hold this as the tension in conversations. One moment we're talking about our hopes, and in a whisper, in a nanosecond soundbite, we're moving to a place of heartache. And it's this space that we are just supposed to honor this space and just listen and be present. And that is not our responsibility to fix that or to solve that. It's just, this is a place of deep care and really honoring the relationship and honoring where this person's discovery process as they're walking through some of these things. And so if I was to bring this into, perhaps a biblical or, a spiritual formation concept, I would put this in this realm of soul care. There is a deep breathing that takes place, and you're at a space where there is just deep breathing. And as we know, just physiologically, when you breathe deeply, you're just bringing oxygen into places that, it fires up cells. It brings health to where perhaps some of those places have lied dormant. And when you are in a relationship, friendship, where you can have that level of exchange, it is life-giving to be in a place where some of those ideas perhaps are being articulated in a way that have never been shared or even thought through before. And so we're only on step 3 of 5, right?
Yeah.
So, this is, and for some people, even this idea can scare the life out of them. And I want to capture this. If I could just put a pause on this discovery process, this 5 steps, and this might take place over, months. It might take place over years. It's just what I've observed in healthy relationships. And I want to capture for our listeners someone who might be really listening into this going, I really have no idea what this looks like or what this feels like or how to even enter in, but I desire this. And I want to capture this going back to where we started with the mentors. You don't read a book to experience this. You don't go take a seminar. You don't have a conference. This is something that it is more caught than taught. It is something that is modeled for you. And so for you to go step into a relationship where, like, I don't know what it is about this person, but something's different because I'm experiencing a level of depth and engagement that I've just never experienced before. And this is what we're talking about. So part of it, this is my sincere encouragement for your listeners. If there's something in this that is just like, I want this, this is your opportunity to tap into the people that you have trust relationships with. And this is, for mentors or someone who says, I just don't have a mentor, I don't have these kinds of relationships, let's just do a hard stop in those ideas. And let me just encourage you, the likelihood is you have some folks in your life that with a little bit of intentionality and a little bit of investment of time, you can tap into perhaps an equity of relationships that just needs to be tapped into and take the next step. And you may find some riches there. So.
And people are more open to that than we think. Like, we're always afraid to reach out or take that initial step because we're afraid of rejection.
They're just as hungry. But
they're just as hungry. And like you were talking about, like the example you used earlier with like a lawn business, you might think, well, he would never talk to me because I'm a competitor. But even in situations like that, it seems like people are so hungry to give and to connect that the majority of people are very open and willing to have those conversations and to impart knowledge and to try to connect with people and go through the 5 levels like we're talking about. I mean, you can't jump all the way to the end at first, but I think what you're saying is right on, that those relationships and those opportunities are all around us if we would develop the mindset and the eyes to see them, and then really the courage to go ahead and engage with them. So there's step 3. Real quick then, because I know our time is getting away from us. Let's walk through considerable and catalytic.
Yeah, considerable goes back to that principle or the biblical idea that we touched on earlier in terms of let us consider how to spur one another on. And so considerable really starts leaning into what are those questions that I can really begin to perhaps even craft leaning into where this person is really at. And that, especially for our introverts who are listening, you might find more liberty or more confidence in this process by thinking, journaling, writing down, praying about what are those questions that really might be meaningful the next time we meet. And I've got all the way as practical as suggesting, hey, I'm really looking forward to our time. I'll send a text out. And there's a couple of things that I just want to cover at our lunch. And I might even fire off one or two questions just to build some anticipation that I'm looking forward to this, in a way that introverts and extroverts isn't about whether I like people or not. That's a bad interpretation of that. It's really more about how I'm energized by people. And actually, in some ways, introverts are more engaged in this process because they live out of a place of sincerity. And so deep relationships with a few, that is life-giving to them. And so
Thank you for saying that.
Yes.
As two introverts, we really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Introverts can get a bad rap in that way. And so that considerable process is something that can allow you to lean into perhaps more reflectively. So when you get to that place, you can then, have a meaningful dialogue that just starts getting some clarity around the important issues there. So catalytic is the jump to let us consider how to spur one another on. So I didn't forget that, because my wiring is more in the spurring. I'm like, okay, can we just shut up now? Let's get on and do something. So there's a little bit of that in me that always, let's please go do something with this. Let's take some action. And that catalytic really is more than just a conference. Catalytic is where the inception of an idea is, I just can't help myself. I've got to take some action on this. So the response is there is an action as a result of this conversation. And so that's where we pick up courage. That's where we pick up motivation. And really about, man, I want to walk with you to see something become a reality in this. So it's moving. So the language that's used in the book is moving from private reflections to a public reality. And that is really where the life-defining concept it becomes. We're exploring questions that perhaps have a life-defining implication that moves from private reflection. And as you begin living that out among a few trusted friends, it can truly have life-defining implications. The example last night, I'm on a nonprofit board of directors, and we're with this leader, and we're going through just some very important discovery and right on the edge of some commitments. And that led to a catalytic moment of like, are you going to do this or not? And it was, I've got to do this, but I need your help. And that really captures the catalytic moment to where we're going to meet again as a board in 3 months, and you're going to see some movement on these commitments moving forward. And it came all together with a board rallying around this leader saying, yes, let's move forward with it. And so, the flow of the 5 that we've talked about, you can even find traces of the flow of these 5 casual connects all the way to a catalytic moment in a several-hour board meeting. So again, what we're not trying to over-define relationships or even conversations. Coming back to people having a sense of awareness of, where am I? I desire something to change. Therefore, it's catalytic. I need help to get there. And so how do I enter into relationships, and where am I in this process with the folks who are already in my life?
Knowing that there are 5 levels of conversation helps us navigate our relationships with others. If we haven't been given the permission to go deeper with someone, Serve them by becoming a good casual conversationalist. In time, as you get to know each other, they will grant you the permission necessary to go deeper into the 5 levels. And that's why I recommend checking out Russell's book, The Conversationalist, because he goes into a lot more detail about what it takes to get good at serving others through conversation. And so we're giving away 2 free copies of the book. We want you to be able to go through this book with a friend and practice the lessons Russell teaches. So if you want to enter to win 2 free copies of The Conversationalist, click on the link in the show notes or head on over to dailyggrowthdiscipleship.com/pages/giveaway and enter for your chance to win.
Thanks for listening to the Daily Growth Discipleship Podcast. To find out more about Russell and his work, check out theadvance.net or go to buildingstrongleaders.com. There you can pick up a copy of his book, The Conversationalist, and even sign up for a course on building these life-defining relationships. If you want to stay up to date on everything that's happening with Daily Growth Discipleship, you can go to dailyggrowthdiscipleship.com and subscribe for free, or sign up on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.